What's up? Today we're building an IT bike. Just so you guys know, if you didn't know, we supplied all the bikes for IT Part 1 and 2. So we figured we'd want to build up a Pennywise bike, and we ordered some custom stickers for the bike that we're going to apply to the Sunday primer, all white. And then we have a ton of white parts, including a couple little red parts as well. First of all, we have the GT plastic pedals. We have a Primo pivotal seat, Fiction stem in white, Stolen sprocket, some red bar ends. We have some Salt hardware kit for the stem, red dice. We have a Sputnik seat post clamp, Vans Cult grips, Cult bars in white. We have a Shadow headset in white, KMC chain in white with a 1664 pivotal post. These are Primo Kamikaze forks in white. We have Stranger ballast tires in 2.45. And again, we have the Sunday primer bike along with the stickers. And we have the Cinema wheel.
All right, welcome everybody. Another series of Pop TV with Pop TikR. Hope you're doing well, Canada. And we're about supporting locals. So we're bringing the best brands across the country. And today we are rocking it with one of the legendary BMX shops in Canada. Here we go. We're bringing them up. Let's see. Bang, there you go. Ant, what's up?
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Good, man. So I'm like checking your BMX shop out again, straight out of Toronto. I mean, it's like insane. We're just looking a bit on that video of the Pennywise bike. So tell me more about that. That's so cool.
So we did all the bikes for the It movie, part 1 and 2. I had a bunch of bikes for sale on Kijiji, old school bikes. I'm like a old school BMX fanatic, like an 80s fanatic. So I had a bunch of bikes on there, and they found me on there. They needed a bunch of bikes for the movie. So I sold them a bunch. And then when I swiped the credit card, actually, it said It movie or something on it. It was pretty cool.
Did you think it was a joke? Like, you must have been, are you kidding me? Is this for real?
I don't know. Maybe I heard somewhere that they were making the movie. But anyway, so the movies were, the bikes were in the movie, and then after the first movie, I posted a lot on Instagram about it and kind of created my own buzz for it because I didn't get any credit in the movie. And then for the sequel, someone stole all the bikes on set of the movie.
No way.
Yeah, so I had to redo them for the sequel, and they didn't really want to pay that much again for the bikes, which is crazy because it was the highest grossing horror movie of all time.
Man, that sucks.
And they also had an excuse that the bikes weren't going to really be in the second one because it's mostly just for flashbacks because it's set 25 or whatever amount of years later. So, but I got to recreate the bikes again, which was kind of fun. So then I shipped it to Australia for somebody. So
Wow, that's so cool.
it definitely, like, that video really went worldwide, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, man, that's really awesome. So like, I wanted to, talk about sort of like the shout out by Biff Naked. So I know she lives in Toronto. So how did she discover Harvester bikes?
Her and her husband moved to Toronto a couple years ago, and I don't actually know how they found me, but they wanted to make some matching. There's this brand in the 80s called Hutch. So they managed to order some Hutch bikes from the States. It's like an American made old school bike, and they recreated a bunch of them. So they got me to build the bikes and then add a bunch of parts to them. So they came to the store. They were pretty cool. Her husband is really cool too. He's a really nice guy, and they all like the retro stuff. And his husband's like a big Kiss fan.
Nice.
And
we're talking about, actually before we went live, we were talking about music bands. So we're both Metallica fans. So, that's pretty cool. And then Kiss, we're kind of reminiscing back in that, kind of rock and roll classic bands like Hair Nation.
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, music again. I mean, Biff. I mean, she's incredible. Like so the backstory to that, how we met is I grew up listening to her. So I loved punk and alternative growing up, and she was such an inspiration. She was so cool. Her, Gwen Stefani, all these lead singers, female lead singers in rock bands. And so I was listening to Sirius, and I don't know, her song came up. I'm like, oh yeah, like Biff. Like, I wonder, what's up. So I went on Instagram. I saw her account was up, and I just messaged like a little note saying, hey Biff, thank you for the music. I grew up listening to you, and hope all is well, kind of thing. And she actually responded back, sent me a message, and like the rest is history. So
Awesome.
yeah, so that's really cool. Like, I mean, that's what I love about, Canadians, and, some of, they're so humble, some of our musicians and like people with influence, they can really bring the spotlight to some of the coolest places, right?
For sure. For sure.
Shops and stuff. So now I wanted to kind of touch, upon COVID-19. I know it's been like obviously crazy for obviously just people every day, and also for retail.
Yeah.
So how are things going with you and the shop?
It's been a crazy 3 months. At the beginning, it was just kind of weird, and then I got someone complained about my store that I was still open, and I had tons of people waiting outside of the store because we were only letting one person in at a time, and someone must have complained, and then the city shut me down for a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I like fought the city of Vaughan, where the store is, to open, and like the Vaughan bylaw guys just were clueless on what the laws were and that bicycle stores are essential. They had no idea, and it was really weird that 1 week that I was closed. Like I had the blinds down, and it was really weird. And then then they opened me up again, and then we just started running the shop out of the back of the store. And now it's been crazy. There's like lineups outside. People like the ones who wait in line at the bank. It's like that at the store. Like
Yeah, that's the thing. I was talking about that. It's like you can never predict in business. It's like you obviously don't want the pendulum this way, where I mean, it's businesses are suffering, closing down, and then it goes completely the other way, where it becomes really hard, right, as a business owner to kind of meet the demand, right?
bicycle stores are very recession proof, which is insane. Like
Yeah.
So it's like I don't even have time to eat lunch anymore. We leave the store at 12 o'clock at night. It's been like actually mental. So.
It needs a bit of some breathing space, right?
Yeah, like I don't anymore. I don't have like a personal life anymore. It's pretty cool. I haven't rode in 3 months.
Oh damn! Are you serious? BMX boy hasn't even got a chance to go out. That's tough.
Sucks.
Wow. So, like I was looking online, you guys sponsor obviously a lot of events. I saw there was, obviously BMX events in Montreal, across Canada. So, I mean, how is it? I wanted to know what the scene is, how the scene's been impacted right now. Like, are the tracks still open? Like, what's going on?
The skate parks were shut down for a while. Now they're open again. Certain cities, I think they're still closed. Like Richmond Hill, I think they still have like bylaw guys going around.
Yeah.
But I think the skate parks are okay now, but they're definitely like in Orangeville, they put jersey barriers up in the skate park, so people couldn't actually ride the skate park because there was just barriers everywhere inside it.
Right.
So, but that's where street riding is really popular. So I just said like, finally, street riding is not a crime. Normally is a crime. So you can go ride whatever you want, and nobody's going to want to come near you or touch you or push you away.
There you go.
So yeah, like when skate parks were closed, I think more people were riding street, which was pretty cool. So, and then the racetracks, I think the racetracks are open now, but that's not really, I don't know. That's not really what I'm interested in. I'm more in like the tricks and the street riding. And so
what's happening like with the tricks and some of the events surrounding like the BMX what's that?
There's nothing.
There's nothing, right?
No, it
sucks, man.
And I do a lot of events, and now is like the time where I really do a bunch of events.
Yeah.
And like I do a skate park tour, so I do for different skate park every Monday in July. And I was supposed to hit a bunch of new skate parks that I haven't done yet, like Bolton and Orangeville and like Acton. But that's not happening anymore. And then I do bi-weekly street rides at the shop. So kids show up at the store and we ride all the industrial areas and stuff. So those aren't happening either. And nothing. The X Games isn't happening this year. The Olympics isn't happening. Those are like the Olympics was supposed to be big deal for the BMX world.
Right.
First year that it's freestyle BMX, but in terms of sales, this coronavirus thing is like done way more than the Olympics for sales.
There you go. So it's like BMX is going full-blown training mode right now with
Yeah,
trying
like,
to get more people in the scene, right?
yeah, like we've sold more BMXs to like 20-year-olds, which is like not that common. Like it's mostly like 9 years old, or like 7, 8, 9 years old to like 16 years old. But now
Yeah.
all of a sudden these 20-year-olds now want to get BMXs, which is really weird because they got, I don't know, like
Yeah.
it's not too often that you sell BMXs to 20-year-olds because it's more of like a high school thing.
Yeah, so that's it. So it's funny how kind of things work, right? It's like, you know, because of this, it's being introduced to a new demographic. So, I mean, whatever, that's cool.
Yeah, always like sell BMXs to dads and stuff. That's like
Yeah.
nostalgia stuff. But yeah,
I was gonna say, like, you must have, I mean, because it's, you know, my brother, like, we had a BMX in the house and, you know, it was like red and silver. I don't even know what brand it was. I was so small, but yeah. So for me, revisiting sort of the BMX is like, it's nostalgia, right? And then you have like a whole pack of other kids, you know, like you said, was it 6? Like how, actually, I'm gonna get into that in a little bit, but actually I wanted to know, how did you start, like your journey? I like to find out how these shops happen, so.
so BMX was a really big deal in the early 2000s, like skateboarding and BMX. There was video games, punk music, just like it was a whole, it was in your face, like it was everywhere. Like if you, so along with like skateboarding and BMX came the music and the clothing and the fashion and everything. So like I rode mountain bikes when I was a little kid, but when I saw the X Games and I found a magazine, um, actually my brother worked at the mall and we found a magazine in the garbage in the dumpster.
I love it.
It was
It's
like
awesome.
the bookstore had thrown out all their old magazines, and he told me that there was some magazines in the, anyway, so I had that magazine and that was like changed my life. And but it was a really big deal back then. Everybody was drinking Mountain Dew and
Oh yeah, Mountain Dew. I remember that. It's like
yeah,
neon yellow.
yeah. So and the video games were huge, like Tony Hawk Pro Skater and all the BMX games, and like it was just nonstop. And so that kept me going. And then I wanted to open up a shop when I was a kid, just because like out of my parents' basement. And then I got a grant from the government in 2002 from the city of Vaughan to start a BMX shop in my parents' basement. And like forums were really big back then. Like now they use like Facebook, but back then forums were the hot thing. Like you would log in and then chat with people in the forums. So I was hustling like big time on the forums.
So how old were you at that point when you were doing the 15?
Yeah, I'm
Get
30.
out of here. You're such a hustler. I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, so selling T-shirts, and I had an online store. Kids were sending me checks in the mail, and I had distributors back then, which was pretty crazy because now they would never allow that. But back then you could deal with suppliers without having a storefront. So I had lots of hookups back then with bike distribution companies, and that's how I started. And yeah, it was pretty hot back then. It was pretty hot.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting. Like, good for you, man. That's like, I love, and that's another thing about this whole series is that I love discovering the story behind the story. I think it's so fascinating. It's so cool. Good for you, man.
Yeah, like it was such a big culture back then, more than, well, it was, yeah, it was definitely a culture back then. So
it is a culture, and you know, and that's what I love, because I mean, I'm a big music fan. I love subculture. I grew up listening to punk and like lots of genre of music, but it's like you said, you know, like it's a classic story. You know, you found a magazine in a dump, you're like, oh, check it out, what's this, right? And it's like it's a subculture. It's I mean, I love that whole thing about, like, you know, music, art, you know, BMXing, whatever. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about, okay, so you have a crazy YouTube channel. You have over 42,000 subscribers. We got to pump those numbers up because I've been looking at your content. It is wicked. You have the coolest stuff. So you have these custom, like I tell everybody, it's like pimp your ride back in the day when it's like watch like cars being souped up. It's like the BMX version of it.
For sure.
That's so wicked. And then you have like the unboxing, so you have like the latest brands, and you like build it. It is like, and you have what I really like too is sort of your tips and recommendations on a number of different topics, right? Getting started, this, that, and the other thing. So
tutorials too,
yeah, tutorials. So like I wanted to actually bring up a few things. Like this is like candy. I don't know if you can see, but look at that. So pretty. I don't know, you can't see what I'm showing you, but I'm showing. Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So like this is just a little snapshot of the stuff you can do to your bike. I mean, look at that. You can customize your sprockets, chains, you got pedals, you got the handlebars.
Yeah.
That
was at the beginning, those colors. Now there's like camo, which is like really popular.
Yeah, and actually talking about camo, I think I actually grabbed one of these. Actually, there was a bike, I don't know if it was a stolen, it had the camo tires.
Yeah.
Was that the
There's so many. It's like really hot right now. It's like a Vans collaboration with Vans shoes.
Okay.
So it's like Vans tires, and they have the camo prints on them.
So that's like what's trending right now, like pretty hot in BMX?
Yeah, there used to be this like stupid color called oil slick, so that was like a really popular thing. It's like a purple like gasoline color.
Okay.
But now
Is that the one that it kind of tints depending on the sun shining on it?
Kind of, yeah. Like you see it on cars and stuff.
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably I would get something like that. I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was so let's go back to this. So these were the colors. So now, like you said, like you can get some like camo accents. What else?
I don't know.
What's happening right now, kind of thing.
I don't know. All the kids in the last like 20 years have taken their brakes off their bikes.
Okay.
So like most of the BMXs that you see at the skate park, the kids don't have brakes. So it's kind of like it was supposed to be like it's like a skateboard. So
okay.
It's like easier to do tricks without brakes because you commit more to the trick because you can't pull on anything.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, but if you see a kid at the park, most likely his bike is brakeless.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty. I think you're right. It'll definitely help you commit to the trick.
Yeah, they run through shoes a lot and like so.
So I was looking at, I mean, you have some pretty dope apparel. This is just like a sample of a shirt. I saw like a really slick hoodie I had my eye on. It was also the SE Racing one.
Yeah,
it was
it's like a big brand, huge brand in the States. The SE is like a whole like religion in itself. It's like these big bikes in the States. Everybody does wheelies on them.
Yeah.
So that's you should check out the bikes. They're crazy. Like they do collaborations with DC shoes and Pabst Blue Ribbon, and they have Marshawn Lynch, the football player.
Oh yeah.
They did the hundreds, Crooks and Castles. Every year is like a different collaboration. Public Enemy, they did a bike. So every year is like a collaboration with a big brand, and then those bikes are worth an insane amount of money.
Holy shit! Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know about that. So where in Cali is like LA predominantly, or
Miami, California, New York, Philadelphia. Yeah.
Wow, it's pretty wicked. Yeah, no, I was just I think I have this picture of the bike too. Oh yeah, this is the one that has the camo on it as well.
That's more like a red blood tire.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really popular as well.
Yeah, I thought it was really nice. I like the pattern on the wheels. You got a killer website too. I like you got your videos directly on there too with the YouTube.
For sure.
Yeah, so you can kind of see it in action, instead of just the pictures.
Yeah, YouTube is like surprisingly brought a lot of business. Like sometimes when you ask customers, they say they came from YouTube, which is pretty cool. So
yeah, man. I mean, it's amazing. I'm so happy to see like 42,000 subscribers and like, hitting up, going up. You have like some really like great content on there though. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
I just want to touch upon too, like, obviously, like you were saying, stuff is selling out like mad, and, it's summertime and bikes are selling out. So obviously there's some people who are advanced, they kind of have their BMX looking to, either enhance it or customize it. And then there's others that are just getting started. So talk about that. Like what age, again, did you mention they can start up at? Any recommendations, like a starter bike and all?
I don't know. Most parents start getting their kids bikes at like 6 years old. So they make like, it's like a 16-inch BMX, and then you can get an 18-inch more for like a 9-year-old. And then a 20-inch is more for like maybe 12 years old plus. So, and then from there, like everybody just rides 20-inch BMXs, no matter what age you are. The frame get a little bit longer for the taller you get, but the 20-inch wheel kind of stays the same. And then those wheelie bikes that I was talking about, like a lot of dads or like a lot of actually teenagers now are starting to get these big, they're like 26 and 29-inch BMX bikes, and they're monsters, and people do wheelies on them. So that's becoming like it was a thing in the 80s, and then it kind of disappeared for a long time, and then just like older dudes were riding them, and now everybody.
I'm gonna get one.
Yeah, they're really
I'm gonna get big old wheels.
So everybody's riding these like monster BMXs now. So this is like a whole new trend in the last like 4 years.
So like, I have a question about that. So when you talk about height, does the height play into the size, or is it just a preference as well, or a bit of both?
It's a preference. Like you'll even see like little kids on 29-inch BMXs, which is like as big as a bike you possibly could buy.
Yeah.
But for those bikes, it's preference. But for BMX, like mostly everybody's riding a 20-inch BMX.
20-inch. And like the price range for like again, a 6-year-old to 9 kind of starting out.
Like now everything is expensive because everybody pays in US dollars for the bikes. So like you probably won't find a bike for less than $400 Canadian.
Yeah.
Like if you go to Walmart or Canadian Tire, you're probably fine.
Once you go to a certain level, it's hard to go back. Like you don't even know what the difference is until you get yourself a proper bike, right?
Okay.
So I say that too. Like I was not educated, and like I said, when I met my husband, he was like big into. So he grew up in Calgary, and he grew up, snowboarding and then like mountain biking. And he's like, hey, so you have a bike? I'm like, yeah. Like that's not a bike. You got to get a proper bike. So I picked up my Rocky Mountain and love it. So I mean, it's a good investment for sure.
Yeah.
So what's that?
Rocky Mountain is good.
Yeah. And that's when we were living in Edmonton. So it was nice. We did a lot of trails like out in Banff and stuff like that.
The weather must have been terrible. I could not do it.
Not gonna lie, you called me out on that. It's true. The weather was tough. So, I grew up in Montreal. So, it's like, it gets really humid. I actually like that weather. I know I'm crazy, but it doesn't bother me. It could be like 45 degrees with like 90% humidity. I'm fine. But Edmonton, I mean, like I said, so we would bounce back from Edmonton to Calgary quite a bit because his parents live there. And, it's beautiful, like the mountains and everything. I love it. But it is cool, like for a long time of the year.
Montreal's different. Like the weather's crap there, but it's different there.
Yeah.
Alberta, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It is, like I said, I mean, they have a lot of, Calgary is just gorgeous. Alberta, I mean, there are some beautiful landscaping that you just don't have anywhere else. But yeah, if you kind of aren't used to the cold, it is kind of hard to get through the year. It gets cold.
Yeah, it snows in like September.
Yeah, it's tough. I remember I was like, damn, it's cold here all the time. And you know what the funny thing is? So like when I moved there, I was like, oh, so like it's gonna be a lot of cowboys around and stuff. I was just making a joke. He's like, no, and he got annoyed with it. He's like, people always stereotype my city. And of course, when do I move down? Like in July. So I get to the airport, everybody has their cowboy hats on. So like, dude, what are you talking about? Right. Anyway, so there was that. And then I remember one time I was working out at the gym and I was on the treadmill, and I kid you not, I've never seen this in my life, but I saw a roll of tumbleweed go by.
I thought you were going to say there's a cowboy on the treadmill with a cowboy.
Could you imagine? I know. You're probably like, what the hell is she talking about? No, but it's like, yeah, tumbleweed. Like I've never seen that before. So
yeah.
It's, it's unique. What are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of like, do you guys sponsor, I was just curious, any BMX athletes? Are you guys into that space as well, or?
Yeah, I sponsor like guys that shop in my store and I become close with. So guys who really like show that they support the store and um, yeah, just friends and guys that I'm cool with. So
Yeah, well, that's cool. And did you, is there anyone sort of that you're sponsoring that's like making up the scenes? Like, I love shouting out, you know, like Canadian athletes, man, they work hard, you know how it is. So is there anybody in your scene right now that's active?
um, there's one. I don't sponsor him, but he's like a big deal. His name's Mike Gray. He rides for Haro, which is like a big BMX brand. So he's kind of our.
Where is he out of?
He's in Newmarket,
Newmarket.
and he's like our like hometown hero. So
Sweet.
yeah,
Mike Gray?
yeah, Mike Gray.
There you go. Shout you out, Mike Gray.
Yeah, he
BMX.
has his own brand called Space Brace. It's like safety gear. So
Space Brace.
yeah,
Oh, cool.
yes, yeah. I would say he's definitely our like hometown hero. So
Oh, that's sweet.
yeah,
Yeah, man, I like to shout out our musicians and our athletes. Like everyone, you know, I'm in the startup world, so I work my ass off, you know, like everybody else. But I have a sweet spot for musicians and athletes too, because I know how hard they work. I mean, it's like it's the same grind, right? So it's nice to sort of yeah, kind of support them stuff.
for sure.
So that's like about it. I'm really thankful, you know, spending your time. I know how busy you are. You just told me like you have no life right now, like no personal time.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you coming on onto our show. And just like as a last few words, how can Canadians find you if someone's looking for a bike across Canada? If somebody in Vancouver wants a bike, how do they reach out?
Definitely YouTube is like number one for sure. Instagram's pretty popping off also.
Yeah, no, sounds good. And anyone in Canada could order their bike online, right? On your shop?
Yeah, definitely for sure. Even
Do you have any? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
in the States too, for sure.
Oh, in the States too. Okay, cool. And is there any like promotions happening right now? Anything that you want to share or?
If you're looking for a bike, now is like the worst and the best time to get a bike.
Yeah.
There's nothing left, and there soon won't be anything at all soon because nothing's coming in from China. And so I would say if you're
Yeah.
looking for a bike, try to get one soon before there's nothing left. So
That's it. So get on it. I know because it's not even like we're in the spring. We're kind of like almost deep into summer. So I'm sure like a lot of it is gone. So there you go, everybody. You got to support Harvester Bikes. Get on their Instagram, their YouTube. Trust me, you are going to be impressed. So support your local brands, everybody, and get yourself a kick-ass bike at Harvester Bikes. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you soon next week.
Can I shout out 2 or 3 more people?
100%.
Yeah. Duro the Third, he's a graffiti artist. So he does some really crazy graffiti work. He's done a lot of the stuff downtown, like on Queen Street, at Brooklyn Bar. He did the Angel Wings. I don't know if you know that one. And he did the Elroy banner in the distillery. So definitely.
What's his name?
Duro the Third.
Duro the Third. Okay, cool. I'll leave it. You know what? I'll connect with you after. Get their Instagram, and I'll put it on our comments too.
For sure. And then Sanction, the skateboard store nearby here. So definitely those guys. They've like been doing like skateboard stuff since like even before I started riding BMX. Wow. And I think that's it.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. So extension too. Cool. So I'll make sure to post that on our comments. And thank you so much. And so, like I said, you're legendary 15, bud, and you were like hustling. So there you go. Have a good night and peace out. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.